Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tradesman Experience. This is the podcast built by tradesmen for tradesmen. My name is Josh, and across the table is, of course, Mr. Nate Newton. Nate, welcome back. How are you, sir?
Wishing I was still in fucking Belize. I know that much.
How long since just you and I sitting here?
Fuck. That was when we had football coaches on. Oh, no, that...
Just
us? Fuck.
Early December?
Yeah.
Late November, maybe?
Yeah, it had to have been early December. Because I was kind of on the run all late December trying to get ready to go.
And I had the virtual interviews launched.
It's been a minute. I'm a little detached from the tradesman experience at this point. But hopefully everything calms down a little bit now. You know, it was... I needed that vacation so fucking bad. I knew I needed one, but like I got to thinking that, you know, there was 2 days where we didn't do anything. One day we sat in a palapa on hammocks and just had some drinks and just kind of chopped it up, and I got a lot of good time to think, but I got to think deeply and I got to think extensively about a lot more than just the business, a lot more than just the economy. Like I got to think about the world and my place in it and how much it's rapidly changing and how much I feel like I'm getting passed up. And
what's Gemini doing?
Yeah, Gemini's, I don't know. Poor little girl got her fucking eyelids cut open. Her fur was growing into her eyelids, so they like cut a little strip out, sewed it up to like tighten it up. But she was pawing at her eyes all the time. She was always at a bunch of tears.
Oh, she's the mascot.
Yeah.
You're the mascot.
And then bring her in here, take the cone off for 5 fucking minutes, and she rips one of the sutures. So.
Yeah. Well, her and I have a routine, and she wanted to play.
Yeah. That dog has the highest pain tolerance out of any dog. I've stepped on her probably 10 times since I've had her. She's never once yelped.
Yeah.
I'm 250 pounds, and she's like, hey.
She was, when I was watching you with her, look at her eye, she's extremely patient with you.
Yeah.
She doesn't try to pull away or wince or anything. She is totally almost submissive, but patient with you.
Yeah. She's a Velcro dog for sure.
Man.
And I take her everywhere with me, you know. Like she goes into the fucking stores with me. She goes on job walks with me. She goes everywhere with me.
How did she do while you were gone?
Good. Yeah, my sister actually house sat for us, so she was there, you know, every day. Okay. But it must have been, dude, because I want to, if I leave her in the house and then I come back, you know, a couple hours later after going to the gym or something, I don't address her until she's calm. Like she has to go sit outside of the kitchen and like stop wagging her tail and like be completely stoic before I'll address her. But she was not letting that happen when I got home from Belize, dude. She was like jumping on me like all my shit.
You are going to pay attention.
You are going to love me right now. Yeah. But then I got a new car today, and then I was like, I got to get her in the back seat. Like it's fucking brand new. Like I got a new, I got a 2023 Rubicon Gladiator, and I was just like, oh, do I pick her up right now? Like you got to do it regardless.
Right.
So, threw some fucking packing blankets in the back seat. Like, well, till we get some fitted seat covers, that's what we're gonna do. You know.
No, she's a good dog. I always enjoy her being in here.
Yeah.
So 2024, I made the joke on here during one of the GSDs. I fucking hate resolutions, but I do encourage business planning and figuring out what you want to do, where you want to go. And one of the things that you guys did is job trade. You guys jumped into job trade this year. How is that?
Dude, looking at the capabilities that are in there, like I said, Field Pulse was great, but they don't hold a flame to the job costing. If you're a contractor doing new construction or TIs or something like that, dude, job trade is the way to go. If you're smaller, if you're doing less than 10 million a year, I would say go job trade. You know, so you see these bigger GCs, they use stuff like Sage and shit like that, but that is so intricate and complicated. Dude, job trade, just the ability to upload all the files for the project. So that means bid sets, steel detailing, everything goes in there. There's daily reports that go in. So if you don't go back to that job the next day, let's say you don't go back for a week, and you show up again, you can pull it up while you're at the shop and be like, oh, that's right, we didn't finish this. This was fucked up. We need to correct this. And you can pre-schedule that shit for your day instead of showing up and going, oh, fuck, that's right. We should have grabbed more grout or whatever, you know? But, and then, you know, the cost tracking is fucking huge, dude. You know, it's only as good as the data you put into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized how much data I wasn't putting into Field Pulse. Like, I didn't use Field Pulse properly to begin with, but it wasn't really tailored for what we were doing.
Yeah, and this is something that I've learned as I've continued to work with them and still do. It's a service business software. Plumbing, electrical, HVAC are their three main focuses.
Right.
They have options for handyman, and they obviously tailored to some of my clients in the fabrication industry. But
because this is a welding podcast,
shut your whore mouth. They, you know, but I had a lot of conversations with them, and you know, they said, "Look, everything that we do is going to be tailored towards the HVAC, plumbing, and electrical, and everything else is okay." And I had a guy message me a few weeks ago, you know, and he said, "It's the worst thing I ever did for my business." It's like, well, then it just wasn't the right fit for you.
Right. Yeah. I mean, try some of these things out and like, okay, if it was the worst thing, go find something else.
Find something different. Yes.
Yeah.
You know, they're not a good fit for your business. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, because we were with them for 2 years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But like, and the fucking shitty part is moving from Field Pulse to JobTread, the data entry, and I'm doing all of it, and it's fucking mind melting. Like, I hate data entry, but it's really helping me become more intimate with the software and figure out exactly what the capabilities are, exactly how to track things, cost and codes. And, you know, I think that especially jumping over that $2 million hurdle, this is going to help us a lot with it. And not only help us, you know, be more organized and deliberate in what we do, but also help us stay inside the guide rails of what profit margins we want to hit. And I think that's huge because our job costing has been shit. You know, like we would basically like flip through files and look at fucking time cards, and that was our job costing. And like, this goes so above and beyond that.
Job guessing,
yes.
You know, that's
job reckoning.
Yeah, it's true. And when you look at, you know, the businesses, and actually I talked a little bit about this, on the GSD that is prior to when this comes out. So, but anyway, you know, a business is really broken up into 3 sectors: leadership and team, sales and marketing, systems and operations. Right? Now, all of that obviously funnels into serving your client, but you can look at the business in those 3 sectors. Systems and operations, you can't have efficient operations without effective systems. It just doesn't work. Everybody's doing everything, and you're passing notes in the hallway.
Right.
Like, that's how you're transferring information.
Yeah.
So when you look at systems and operations and leadership and team, and what you and I are talking about tonight is you have to have effective delegation. Well, and I'm going to define delegation here in just a second, but if you don't have clear transfer of information and accessibility to information, you cannot delegate.
Well, and that's the huge part about like something like JobTread. It's a hub that everybody that is within our company has access to it. They just have access to it on different levels. Like, there's Matt, myself, who have the full administrative access. There's like a little bit lesser access for Zach and Sam, who are shop steward, field superintendent, and then everybody else has. They have access to all the information, but not all the clients, not all the vendors, not all the numbers that are involved in it. Because honestly, like, the guys doing the work, the numbers just could convolute things for them. You know, they don't. It's not that I don't think that they're unworthy of having that information. I'm saying that it's going to cloud their judgment, and it's not beneficial for them to have that level of information when they're trying to fucking build something. It's not helping them at all. You know. So I think having that hub, really, that's where you get to start your delegation from, right? And I think that it's just looking at the capabilities we have now, I'm like, dude, what the fuck have we been doing for 7 years? You know? Like, you don't know what you don't know.
That's right.
And now I'm just standing there and just looking at it like, and so I'm revamping the whole system. Everything, all the way down to the job costing or the costing codes and profit margins, and you think, oh, if I add 20% to this is a 20% profit margin. No, the fuck it's not. You got to go to 30% to get 20%.
30% is 26 or 27%, I think.
And that's all dependent on what your overhead looks like.
Right.
And I mean, it varies between everybody, but if you want to look at just baseline shit, if you want to make 20% on something, you need to mark it up by 30%.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't sound like it makes sense, but trust me, it fucking makes sense.
It does. And, when you have a program that gives you access to that information and the education,
mm-hmm.
right? It's valuable. One of the reasons that I'm an advocate for JobTread, and they are coming on the podcast, it's going to be coming out, is they're 100% based in Dallas, and nobody works from home.
Mm.
They are required. It's a non-negotiable.
Good.
And so everybody is in-house. Everybody there is accessible, from the CEO and founder all the way, all the way down. And their tech support and their customer support is phenomenal.
Oh, dude, so as I'm setting all this up, I'm fucking borderline retarded when it comes to dealing with anything software related. They have what's called a success manager.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, we were assigned a guy, and then that guy, he's got a little icon in my settings menu, and I go in there and I pull up his schedule,
mm-hmm.
and I schedule a fucking appointment. What?
Yep.
That's so cool. I guess phone number's there if I need to call him or whatever. But
yep.
Because we're kind of doing a soft start with it right now, where we've got everybody's input into it, and we have leadership is working with it, mm-hmm. to find out how we want to incorporate it and how we're actually going to use it. But then, as we start doing these soft rollouts, it's like, oh fuck, well, how do I do this? How do I do that? Schedule the appointment, but it's usually next day. So
yep.
It's like, cool, perfect. Let's do that.
Yeah, I want to jump into a quick plug real quick, because we've brought Field Pulse up a couple times as well. The last week of the month, whatever that, I think it's the 20 something here. I gotta pull it up, because I don't even know what today is. So for me to give you a
should probably leave your little cave every once in a while, Go get some sunlight.
January 29th through February 2nd, that Monday through Friday, Field Pulse is hosting a virtual summit. It's a home service mastery summit. So any of the listeners that are in the residential service industries, you can jump on my Instagram, or you can jump on Field Pulse Instagram or website. There's a link there. It's free. Register. But each day there's going to be a speaker. So it's only like 60 or 90 minutes a day. It's not like an 8-hour day, 5-day a week thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 60 to 90 minutes a day. And there's a keynote speaker all 5 days, and I'm one of the speakers. And as the way it's scheduled right now, don't hold me to it, but I'm supposed to be kicking off the summit that Monday.
Oh, shit.
So they've got some pretty heavy hitters in there that specialize in some pretty neat things in the service industries,
mm-hmm.
and they're going to be presenting each day. So
sweet.
Yeah, go check it out.
Because even Field Pulse also had phenomenal customer support.
Oh yeah.
Yesenia, I think she was
mm-hmm.
our rep, and dude, anything I needed, I'd email her within 5 minutes. I had something back.
They're a great program. It just, you have to find something that fits for you.
Yeah.
And we found, when I discovered JobTread, I was like, this is a new opportunity,
dude, and it's so well thought out for contractors.
Mm-hmm.
New construction or TIs. Like, it's so well thought out to tailor to that, and they know exactly what the pinch points are for all of us.
Yeah,
and it seems like there was a collective amount of pain that was behind the necessity of it.
Well, I won't spoil it for you or the listeners, but Eric, who is the founder and co-creator of JobTread, I just did the podcast recording with him yesterday. So he comes out the Monday after this one,
mm-hmm.
and he tells you how and why he built JobTread.
Okay.
And it's all from hands-on experience.
Mm.
So, but we kind of go into that story, and it explains exactly what you're talking about and why it's so customized for construction projects.
And also the ability to customize it. You know, there's so much shit that you can run it your own way in there.
That's right.
It's far beyond what my capabilities are at the moment. You know, I feel like I'm smacking a fucking stick with a rock at this point.
Well, when you look at systems, one of my things about systems is start as elementary as you can.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if it's a stick and a rock. If it needs to be that primitive, start with something.
Mm-hmm.
The way that you do that is you pick 1 or 2 or 3, if you're really good, things that you want to do, problems that you want to solve operationally within your business, and you focus on those things.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be time cards, transfer of information, and proposals.
Right.
Okay. Which is, I think, probably the 3 that you're focusing on.
Yep.
So
invoicing, yeah.
Yeah, so you master those, and then you start to add to.
Mm-hmm.
What are the other accessories?
Yeah, but that's the thing, though, is that if you do start off with the stick and the rock, you need to watch the stick and the rock and see how it operates and where things aren't going right with it. Because there's a lot of people that want to implement a system and go, okay, cool, the system's done. Fuck no.
Right.
You just started. You have to watch the systems that you develop, and you have to see how they're being used, and you have to adjust the system to the usage of the system. Because the thing is, you can't just run out and tell a bunch of fucking welders that they're going to do this, this, and this on their phones every day. They're not going to listen to fucking half of that.
No.
So you got to be up their ass. So that means you're watching the system, and like, software like this allows you to watch externally how people are using it, and they don't have they can't modify anything. So if they fuck up on their time card, they got to come talk to you as to why they didn't clock out last night.
Mm-hmm.
And so being able to watch it externally is, you're not standing over somebody's shoulder where they're using it the way you want them to use it. They're using it the way that they would naturally use it. And I'm not saying that you should bastardize them for it, but that gives you an idea of how you can adjust your systems to work for everybody within the company.
There should be an implementation process and period for a system, especially the more complex the system or the more different the system than what you were previously using.
Mm-hmm.
Going from paper time cards to digital clock in, for some people, is a life-altering transition.
No, fuck. Especially you get some of those fucking graybeards that are just like, I ain't fucking doing that. They got a flip phone.
Flip phones, so jealous. But that expectation needs to be clear.
Mm-hmm.
If we're introducing a new system, first of all, I'm going to tell you why the system exists and how it benefits you, and what our plan is for the rollout, the introduction, the implementation. But I'm also going to introduce a grace period with a deadline.
Mm-hmm.
Now, depending on the system or the size, that might be a week or a month.
Right.
But the objective is to get everyone on the same page and know that by February 1st, we have fully transitioned to this system. So that gives us X number of days to find out what we like, find out what we don't understand, find out what we can alter, and really work on focusing implementation. Because once we make that transition, we're committed.
Mm-hmm.
You're not bringing me paper time cards anymore.
Right.
Or you don't get paid.
Yeah.
So you've got to set out those clear expectations and those objectives, but getting buy-in from the team is equally as important. When you're looking at systematic operation with delegation, and I'm talking to you, and I'm going to say, hey, when I give you a project, what is it that you need from me to be able to do that project fully?
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm gathering that information from you, and I say, well, I need this detailing, I need, this information, I need to know when it needs to be done by X, Y, Z. Okay, when I have a system in place that correlates with my delegation, I'm going to make sure that when I give you the project, you have all of the information that you asked for.
Mm-hmm.
To define delegation, and we went through this in the leadership training, delegation is not task assignment, which everyone thinks delegation is task assignment. Well, I delegated them to do this. No, that's task assignment. You just give them a job to do.
Right.
Delegation is allowing ownership.
Yeah, it's responsibility that's tied to that.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, fuck. So I run into this problem all the time with delegation. It's like, especially, okay, let's look at like data entry, right? I fucking hate data entry. Can't stand it. And I'm like, okay, well, how do I delegate this to somebody? It's like, okay, well, I'll have them do this. But, you know, you got to do this as well. Well, I'll do that part because that part, you know, that's, I'm the one that knows how to do that. Well, they can't do that other thing until that other thing is done. So I'm not delegating. I'm task assigning.
Mm-hmm.
You have to give the whole kit and caboodle to them to do it. And it's really hard to systematize your delegation. You got to sit down and think about the thing that you need to delegate to somebody, and you got to figure out how you're going to delegate it to them. What level of information do they need? What level of resources do they need? What level of access do they need? And are you willing to provide those things for them to take ownership of whatever that is?
There's a piece of that ingredient there's an ingredient that you're missing, and it's authority.
Yes, absolutely.
Because another mistake, like task assignment, is we give responsibility without equivalent authority. So do these things, but speak to me before you do it. It's like,
and then what the fuck's the point?
The authority has to match the responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And without that, again, delegation doesn't work. Otherwise, it's just task assignment. And now you're the easy button,
right,
for them to figure out the how.
Mm-hmm.
Make a decision.
Yeah.
So you have to absolutely give those things plus the authority to be able to do those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's hard for most of us to let go of that.
Sure it is. So the question then, the question behind the question is, how do you build delegation? You have to look at it and say, okay, well, I have to have trust,
mm-hmm.
right? That's a fucking no-brainer.
Right.
Although a lot of people miss it. You got to be able to trust the person. You have to know, is what you're delegating fall in line with the strengths of the individual you're delegating to?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you giving them something that's in their area of weakness and you're setting them up for complete failure?
Right.
If I were to delegate you data entry,
I tell you, go fuck yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. We're both going to beat the computer.
I tell myself to go fuck myself every day when I go do data entry.
You're doing it because you have to,
yeah.
But if I were to delegate that to you, it's not in your zone of genius.
Why the fuck are you doing? Why?
Do I look like a data entryer?
Enterer.
So you've got to have the trust, and then you got to have the area, their zone of genius, their area of strengths. But you also have to outline the clear communication or clear expectations. So you have to communicate that. And then to build on all of those, you have to go through the walk me through your plan process.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to delegate something to you for the first time and be completely hands off.
Right.
Because even though I may trust you, I don't have trust in the delegation process.
Well, because there's a certain result that you need, and the result has become because of the way you do things, right?
Yes.
And so it's hard to, when you go to delegate, that you know what the outcome is and you know how you've gotten there. Mm-hmm. Well, now you have to let them do it their way.
Yes. So you're right, because what happens? Interpretation. Mm-hmm. It may not even be misinterpretation, but it's their interpretation of what you're giving them. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have the clear expectations and you're not at least involved in somewhat of the planning process, you're leaving it up to their interpretation, which means you have no idea if the result is going to be the same. Mm-hmm. Even though that you can communicate the result, entering into the delegation process and building trust into the delegation process, you still have to go through the walk me through your plan process, because you get to understand how they interpret things. Mm-hmm. You get to learn how they interpret you.
Right. Yeah. And even the end result. Like, you have an end result and you think you've conveyed it. They see it's something. Mm-hmm. We do get a guy that worked for us that was just couldn't figure him out. Couldn't figure out how to tell him anything that he understood on the level that I understood it, or most of us understood it. He just saw the world so completely differently, and he interpreted data so much differently, and he had such a different way of doing things. It didn't end up really working out, but like that's exactly what you're talking about, is the interpretation of what's going on. And that's, if you're the one doing the delegating, this is where you need to shut the fuck up. Listen and hear the thing out in its entirety before you start going, well, why the fuck are we doing that? Like, it's like, let them get to their fucking endpoint, because wherever you might have crossed lines as far as paths are concerned, as far as like the way you're going to do things and what order, if they have all of the pieces there, let them put all the pieces together. Don't jump in and just shut them down. Like, let them think, let them put it out there.
Well, if you don't understand the interpretation part of it, you end up micromanaging their how.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you end up micromanaging the whole thing, and now you're back to task assignment.
Yeah.
With micromanagement. And there's
with a pissed off employee.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was chuckling when you were talking about it, because I think about Matt. When Matt discovered the misinterpretations, right? Because he would have these head scratcher moments constantly, because he would doodle something out, and then hand it across the table, and it was like that picture of the old lady, and if you turn it over, it was the hot chick.
Yeah, right.
And so everything got lost in interpretation, and he would get this thing back, and it's like, what the fuck is that thing?
Right.
So he would just
that is not what I told you to build.
Like, I don't even know how you built that out of what I give you.
Right.
So it creates this tremendous disconnect. I think it's important that people understand that the delegation process and building the delegation process is not easy. It takes time. It takes intentionality. It takes a lot of communication and a lot of patience. And it's going to be different with each individual. You're going to have some people, when people interpret things like you, that delegation process is going to be pretty fast.
Right.
But when you have someone that does look at something completely different than you, the first thing you have to do is you have to figure out how to meet them on their level. So then you can figure out and learn what you need to alter.
Yeah.
Do you need to change how you're giving them the information, or do you need to coach them up so they can look at it?
They can read it. Yeah. And I mean, that's a huge difference between, like, when people come to me with questions from plan sets, especially if it's a bid set, not the detailing, because they spend a lot more time with the detailing than I do. By the time the detailing hits, it's out in the shop. I don't really fuck with it. So they'll come and ask me questions sometimes, and I got to sit there and figure it out. But on a bid set, they don't really fuck with the bid sets that much. And so when they come in with these questions, I'm like, how the fuck do you not see this? Right. Like, it shows you right there. And they're like, it's almost like it's inside out to them. But I've spent thousands of hours at that fucking plans table with different types of engineers and different types of architects. And, that's the shitty part about bid sets, is that you're trying to get into the mind of a fucking engineer or an architect. And half the time, they didn't know what the fuck they were doing when they built it, when they designed this shit.
Back to the interpretation.
Yes. So I got to try, if somebody I've never met, I have to break down, I'll go straight to the detail pages, in the structural set. I'll go straight to the detail pages, and just to see how they're planning on connecting all of the steel and what their idea is on that before I go into the plan sets of what actual each floor looks like. Because you can learn a lot from the detail page, but you know how many years it took me to figure that out? I've developed a system over the years, but when they come to me with certain problems that they have with the plan sets, I try to remember 5 years ago when we first started really getting into doing new construction and trying to figure out, you're like, what the fuck does this mean? And it's like, oh, you got to flip over to the cover page and figure out, whatever spec they're trying to lean against here. So I think if you extract yourself and your ego from that situation and you just shut the fuck up and you listen and find out why they're not seeing what you're seeing, that makes it a lot easier to coach them up to be like, oh no, this means this. You'll typically see this in this instance.
I think that's a good point. putting your ego aside, and if you approach the situation knowing that one of your jobs is to understand how they are looking at it, is to understand their perspective, I think that's a really good approach. Instead of me giving you something and me expecting you to see it the same way that I do. Just understand that when I hand you something, okay, walk me through your plan because I need to know how you see this. And you can come back and go, this is what we're going to do. And I'm going to say, you realize the plan set's upside down, right?
Yeah.
But
which we've seen, dude, because I've printed off like details before where I zoom in on a certain detail and I'm like, hey, this needs to go here. And then, you know, like I'm holding there looking at it with them and then I come back out later and it's upside down. And it's like, okay, hold on. Like,
right.
All right, we fucked up big here. And I'm looking at it going, oh, I can see why that's upside down. Because there wasn't any writing or any measurements on it. Like it's just pieces of steel that are assembled in a certain fashion, you know?
Yeah. Well, my background, the little bit of time I spent in the duct fabrication side, orientation is everything.
Oh. Yeah, dude, I mean, with our custom home, the steel orienting, make sure.
I've seen it.
You've seen us out there fucking cutting plates off while a fucking crane sitting there.
Yeah. We got that, whatever that beam was set, and the next day we realized we had it orientated.
It was upside down.
It was upside down. Yeah. And it was amazing to me how easy it was to do.
Yeah. Well, and it's weird because you're building something in open space, and the only thing you have to really gauge anything off of is the stem walls. So, like, it's really hard to envision what the rest of this is, all the shit that's supposed to attach to it is supposed to look like. And when you get down into the custom home shit, there's a lot of really intricate shit involved there. I mean, you saw the Wright residence. That was probably the most intricate one we've done thus far. And we fucked up a lot of shit on it. We did. And the amount of rework that it cost us in the field, and dude, you don't want to be sitting in front of a contractor fucking cutting steel apart. You know, it looks like shit. Luckily, the guy's, you know, he's the best contractor we have by far. Advanced Design Construction. If you want to talk about getting something built right, getting the exact bang for your buck, dude, he's the best home builder around here. But the dude's playing his landing. He's been doing it for 35 years. He does 1 or 2 homes a year. That's all he wants to take on because he wants to do them right. He's already made his money. He just likes to build cool shit.
But the amount of delegation and empowerment that he gives his superintendents. Alex is that guy is a jewel. Yeah. I mean, I was up on that job multiple times with you guys, and I was really in awe at his patience and humility as a superintendent on a $30 million home. And I would watch him engage with you guys, and you would say, hey, we've got this and this. And, you know, he would look at it, and he may not always spit out an answer. And he would go, what do you think we should do? How do you think we should, you know? And I'm watching him, you know, from a leadership perspective going, oh, this guy's a fucking genius. You know, like he knows exactly how to get buy-in from his subcontractors, and he's not playing the easy button, but he is also involved in the solution process. Yeah. And, you know, just watching and getting to work with him and having conversations with him, I'm like, oh man, this guy owns, back to understanding delegation, is allowing and giving ownership of the role and of the task. That guy has full ownership of what he does. Dude,
and you can see it in the way that he operates with his team, too. You know, he's got all those framers. Dude, they're the nicest fucking dudes that are out there, you know, whistling and fucking around and talking shit.
Hilarious.
Yeah, dude, and dude, sometimes that's hard to find these days, dude. You go out to these big commercial projects, and it's like, nobody's in a really good mood. Nobody's really talking to each other. It's just head down, you know. Dude, like, fuck that. Yeah. I don't want to work like that.
Make sure that there's 3 points of contact on a ladder all the time. Like, and I've worked on those large global corporate jobs before. And it's hard to have fun when you're being watched for anything and everything that you can do wrong. Yeah. Instead of working together to get shit done right.
Okay, well, with that being said, on the topic of delegation, dude, you have to let people know when they're doing it right. Because it's so easy to delegate. Okay, be like, okay, well, the expectation was they were going to do this, and they did it. Okay, whatever. You gotta fucking let people know when they're winning. Because you'll take the fucking sauce right out of somebody
Mm-hmm.
by not letting them know when they did exactly what you needed. You know, people need direction, and giving them the attaboy in that instance is giving them direction.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it's really easy to walk up and find 5 fucking things wrong with it, you know? And I try to be as diligent as I can about, like, if I see something that doesn't look right, I'd be like, hey, I'm sure you guys have a plan here, but I noticed this thing's not sitting level, and you guys are running off of a self-leveling laser right now. I just want to make sure that, and they're like, oh yeah, no, we've set this part to where we need it, and we got to cut that off and re-level it.
So
cool, I just want to make sure.
You approach them from a point of understanding, not accusation,
Mm-hmm.
right? And obviously that's one of the points in leadership that we discuss. You need to seek to understand.
Mm-hmm.
Rarely are you going to have situations where you walk up and you immediately know that shit is all wrong,
Mm-hmm.
but there's always a why behind the what.
Right.
And when you seek to understand, you discover the why. When you're being accusational, you're focused on the what. So it's important, yes, to continue to encourage people to do the right thing. And just as you would tell them if they were doing the wrong thing, use the same enthusiasm to tell them that they're doing it right.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just, that balance has to be equal.
Right.
You know, and obviously, you know, I say equal, and that's that I'm using that lightly, but if you go out of your way to find people doing things wrong, then they're always going to be focused on you looking for things wrong.
Mm-hmm.
A good leader is going to go out of their way to find people doing things right because they want to reward that behavior so that behavior is repeated.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can address when things are wrong.
Right.
And you can do that from the same level of, you know, leadership, equity, empathy, and understanding. That way, what are you doing, girl? Nobody knocking no shit over.
Got that goddamn cone
Yeah,
on.
she can't
She's
see.
a fucking
Lay
terrorist with that thing. Hey,
Yeah,
shut her down.
But no, I think that's a great point because also, all right, it's cultural. A fish stinks from the head down.
I still don't get it. You've been saying that for fucking years, and I'm like, no, the whole fucking thing stinks, dude.
Let me say it a different way. As goes the leader, so goes the culture.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go out of your way to find people doing things wrong, what do you think your team does to each other?
What do you think they're doing to you?
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. So when you delegate, you also need to delegate that same level of empowerment, of responsibility, of authority, but also delegate the authority to give people credit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, let them reward their team. Let them celebrate their team when they're doing things right.
Mm-hmm. I mean, even make it so comfortable that they're like, hey, dude, these guys fucking crushed it this week. Think we can buy lunch on Friday? Fuck yeah, we can. Cool.
That's a great idea.
We came in 30 hours under on this, you know, collectively. Fuck yeah, there's plenty of, dude, fucking pizza, whatever you guys want.
Right.
Chinese takeout, fuck, you let us know, we'll go get it. Shit, we'll even serve it up for you, motherfucker.
Right.
Yeah.
You and nothing but an apron.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Tempting.
It's a long apron.
It doesn't have to be. But yeah.
No, I'm just saying. Your long torso. I don't want you apron cocking it. But no, understanding the fact of delegation and how it correlates with systematic operation. They've got to go hand in hand, because if you have one without the other, you're going to create confusion,
Mm-hmm.
and people are going to fail.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know. We were sitting here talking for a while before we hit record tonight, and he said, "What are we talking about?" And then after we got done, I said, "Fuck, let's just talk about delegation, because
Mm-hmm.
you guys have had some highs and lows, and you guys have built and are building a team now, rebuilding your team now, and have rebuilt your team now, where you've got some people that you can delegate to."
Yeah, and we took the delegation process so much more seriously this time, and we made sure that once we delegated, we stuck with them for a while to make sure that expectations were understood, and that because it's a lot to throw at people because we put people in leadership positions, and that's a whole other level of delegation is leadership, and giving people authority to dish out punishments or create consequences or however that's supposed to go, and in what fashion we do that, and for what offenses we do that, and what steps we take to avoid doing that to begin with, whether that's conversations or leadership or, however the fuck it is we have to do it. But I mean, 2023 was a flat out ass kicking lesson. We got our fucking teeth kicked in the winter and the beginning of the season. We couldn't fucking go do half of the work we needed to. Then we lost some critical leadership guys, so we were back down to just Matt fucking taking care of everything. And then we had some of our top guys quit that took fucking rigs with them. And then we were just kind of standing there trying to figure it out. We were very selective in our hiring process this time. And we were very selective in who we weren't giving opportunities anymore. You had to earn your opportunities. And by not just shelling out an opportunity to who you think is the best fit for the job, and you let them come to you and earn that seat at the table, fucking whole other conversation,
Can we talk about the reality of something? We just started our 5th season.
Jesus Christ.
Of this show. January 24th, 2020 was our first show.
Damn.
The reality of it is you can only do so much until you experience it.
Yeah.
And, me being, alongside you guys for so long and watching everything unfold in 2023, I mean...
Because we were on such a hot streak, too.
Oh, definitely. I wanted to come in and fix it for you, right? And I'm watching all of these things happen. And the reality is... You can learn so much until it's time to do it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't know what to do until shit happens.
Dude, and that's where innovation lies, right? Is, as Jeremy always says, chasing shiny shit.
Right.
Chasing the shiny shit will ultimately kick your fucking ass, but it'll give you the best fucking lessons that you've ever had. And dude, when we were hitting this streak of doubling revenue every year and, just crushing it, and you start getting complacent, and I'm like, dude, I don't know why the fuck it takes people 10 years to build a solid business. Like, dude, we're doing it in 5, and then it's like, oh, really? Let's test that. It's easy when shit's easy.
Yeah. Seduction of success.
Yeah. And then
then
you just wake up one day and it's like everything's on fire. Everything's burning, and you have no help because you haven't delegated shit to anybody.
Right.
And then you end up, Matt and I were going at it for a while. Like, we were both upset with each other and not communicating about it, which is very unlike us. Like, we're not those kinds of people, but the stakes were so fucking high and things were so fucked up. And there was plenty of nights where I'm like, dude, are we going to make it? Like, are we going to be okay? And it wasn't even just about the business. I was like thinking about that about my partner, and I'm like, are we going to be all right? And, going through divorce and all that shit at the same time, it was like, oh, this is why this takes 10 fucking years, You have to learn those lessons and you got to take them the hard way.
Well, I do believe that last year forged better leaders out of both of you. I mean, you guys were forged in the fire last year. Yeah,
and difficult conversations are so much easier for us now. Because we know what it looks like when you don't have difficult conversations. When you don't hold people accountable.
Amen.
Dude, because, it went full fucking mutiny. We thought we were, I'm in here running a fucking podcast about leadership and I can't fucking lead my own goddamn crew. Like, that was such a shot to the ego for me. I thought everything was great. I thought we were doing a good job. And then come to, people aren't always going to be as honest with you as you think they are. And then all of a sudden it just blows up in your face one day.
It's also... You learn quickly how much leadership equity you really have.
Yeah. And it's a lot easier to spot the warning signs of you being out of equity. When you start seeing the eyes roll. When you start seeing, it's like, hey, dude, like, let's go have a conversation, man. Like, what's going on? You know, how you feeling about this and that? And you can't just listen to what they say. It's how they say it. It's their body language, because they want to keep their fucking job, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if it's gotten to a point where it's just a fucking job for them, that's when it gets pretty dangerous, you know? It's like, okay, well, how dependent am I upon you? Because I feel like you're not going to be here when somebody dangles $1 an hour raise in front of your fucking face. So what do I need to do to change that? And that means that I have to look beyond what it is you're saying and find out what the real motivations are and try to repair that relationship.
And not only look beyond, but look back and identify what we did incorrectly to get here. How are we spending leadership equity? How are we not building leadership equity? And because when you run out of leadership equity, first of all, you can't delegate shit.
Right. Oh, yeah.
They're not going to fucking do anything.
Yeah.
I don't care what systems you have in place. I don't care who you have in place. When you spend that, when you're operating in a deficit, it's all resistance at that point. And then people end up leaving.
Yeah.
And so it's a oh my God, I can't explain to people how difficult that fucking lesson is to learn. And then for me to watch you and my brother experience that, and I'm sitting on the sideline going, you got nothing left to spend, guys. Like, you're fucking out of equity. Like, so, you know, something's got to change. And obviously you and I had a lot of conversations. Obviously Matt and I had a lot of conversations, and you guys were kind enough to invite me into your first round of interviewing. We're focusing a lot on system implementation with the company now, rebranding this whole team. It's possible to come out of it, but
yeah, and dude, we've put so much focus on leadership lately, and you can see it in the culture. The culture's back.
Matt said something to me the first time since you guys started Battleborn Welding, and he was talking about one of your new leaders, and he said, dude, he's taken so much off of my plate. He said, I was in here working on this project, because he's like, you know, you're the sales, and then immediately goes to him, and then it goes to the team. And he said, I was loving it. He goes, I was in here getting all of this laid out, and you could see in his face, like he kind of fell in love with his business again. And you know, in 7 years, I've never had a conversation with him where he has said that. Right. It's always been some level of stress, or we've been trying to solve a problem or put out a fire.
Yeah, I think like the hardships of business ownership and the finding out the ways to not do things, and then when you find the right people to do it the way that it needs to be done, it's such a fucking relief. And you've already done it the wrong way for so long that now you have time to focus on the things that you should have been focusing on the whole time, and you know exactly how proactive you need to be in what locations, and get out in front to be able to support your leadership. You're like, okay, I wish somebody could have done this for me, right? Like, I wish somebody could have laid all this out and just handed me this packet of shit that I need to do, you know? And you're going to fuck up delegation. You're going to do it. You're going to fuck it up. So don't sit here and think that, oh, you listen to us go through our shit and that you're going to be able to just bypass this. You're going to fuck it up.
Absolutely.
Just keep your eyes open, man. You can mitigate the damage that it does and try and reel it back in.
Yeah.
And dude, have fucking hard conversations, and have them daily. Honestly, you know, we bring our leadership in every day. We talk to both of them. We're like, hey, but like we saw this yesterday. Like, what the fuck's going on? You know, and it's not a motherfucking situation. Right. It's like, hey, we just need to know. We need to know what's going on. And now we have things like job trade where it's like the reports are in there, so we can be like, why is that all that got done today? And so then we can go to our leadership and be like, hey, dude, did you see this performance from yesterday? Yeah, dude, I'm going to have a conversation with him this morning. Okay, cool. Let me know how that goes.
Yeah. Or they can say, hey, this happened.
Yeah. Or they can explain it. Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's not an excuse. It's an explanation. And that happens, you know? And yeah, it's once you get out of the weeds, and we're not out of the weeds yet, but
right,
we're farting our way out.
Are you?
Yeah. We're fighting our way out, and we're optimistic, you know? Like, we're optimistic about it, and we see the potential. We see people yearning for more responsibility, and with that comes better compensation, or, you know, some sort of package or whatever the fuck it is. and giving people clear-cut paths to do more, make more, however the fuck it works out. I feel like we're in control of our business for the first time since we opened our doors. And that's weird for me.
That's a pretty powerful statement.
It is, because I feel like we've let our crews run our fucking business, that we've tiptoed around everybody else's wants, not their needs. And it's like, I'm sure you want this, but you don't need this. This isn't going to advance you as a person. And I feel like for the first time we have control of our systems, control of our operations, control of our finances, control of our crews. And it's not like we're trying to be some overbearing force. It's that our job is to literally fucking wrangle all the parts of this circus together and make sure it performs.
Something that you guys have done too, which I encourage, is you have also brought in some other coaches, some other experts to help you.
Yeah.
Some other people.
Yeah, and it's all about knowing who to ask for what.
That's right.
And I mean, dude, Jeremy's been so fucking awesome about the financial stuff, dude. He's really helping us out in that department. And that was a place that, you hit that $2 million wall, dude, and it's so much more difficult to fucking track your shit. And we didn't really have it before,
Right.
And now we got it. And it takes a lot of data entry. It takes a lot of time and effort, but fuck, dude. It's got to be done, Because the only way that you guys are going to get past $2 million is if you grow past being a $2 million leader. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you guys were running a $2 million company as $1 million leaders.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to elevate your capacity of business ownership and leadership. And you have to go, what is it going to take for us to be a $5 million leader, a $10 million leader?
Mm-hmm.
And what systems, what implementation, what structuring and scaling do we need to make that possible? Because it's necessary. The only way that you're going to elevate the business is if you elevate yourself. And you and Matt growing through 2023 plus the previous 7 years, and I'm really kind of blown away by your statement. Like this is the first time you feel like you guys are really in control. And
I because I feel like we were kind of, one of us was in control and then the other one was, and like there was a back and forth, but we were in control of our business, but I've never felt this secure in the control of it.
The other thing though is, and the reason I appreciate that is also look at what you're systemizing and delegating in the company.
Right. Yeah, it's almost like the more you delegate, the more control you have over the situation.
Yes, because you're not trying to control the work.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing Jeremy in, bringing JobTread in, one of the goals, bringing me in. One of the goals that you have is bringing an EFI in, and and then restructuring and rebuilding and the team. The first thing that we did was put you and Matt and your two team leaders through leadership training. Mm-hmm. So everybody speaks the same language.
Right.
It's like you start delegating these to people and it expedites the growth, which in turn expedites the control that you have on how things are operating.
Yeah. We get to look at outcomes now, not means and methods. Mm-hmm. If all we have to do is pay attention to outcomes, and we get to delegate, if the outcomes aren't what we need it to be, we have a discussion with our leadership. And then we go, hey, man, this didn't go out the way we needed it to. How can we do this? And dude, they're like, oh, we could do this and this. And it's like, okay, well, let's go through the options.
Yeah. Something that I want to put on record is I came in and did some work for you guys in your shop last week. And that shop looks fucking amazing.
Oh, dude, Sam crushed it reorganizing that shop.
Is a beast, dude.
Yeah.
And I mean, as soon as I walked in, I started looking around. You guys gained another couple 100 square feet.
Dude, there were 6 people in the shop today. All working.
Right.
That's a fucking 3-man. It used to be like a 2-man shop.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So all credit goes to her. Mm-hmm. You guys, and to delegate, you guys said, this is your shop.
Yep. You do it however you want.
You set it up how you want. Mm-hmm. And she was like, all right, we're throwing that away and that away and that away. And Matt was like, no, that's my mind. I'll put it outside. And
that fucking hoarder.
And, you give her responsibility and authority to take control of her environment.
Dude, there was one day she came in and she was like, hey, this is going on with this person. I was like, oh, what are you going to do about it? She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, what are you going to do about it? She's like, I'm like, you have full right to fucking address the situation how you would like to address it.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, okay. And just went and handled it.
Right.
And I was like, do you know how much worse it would have been if I would have been involved?
Yeah.
It's so much better for you just
how many things as a leader do you make better when you do your other leader's job?
Right. Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah. 0. Yeah.
It's like, no, if it gets physical, call me. Otherwise, fucking handle it.
Right. Because the guys talk a lot of shit, and it's usually pretty fucking funny.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, you hear some yelling coming from in the shop, and I'll like bust through the door, like, what the fuck happened? And they're all laughing, and I'm like, okay. Thank God. I forgot I wasn't in the pipelines anymore.
No, I mean, having that, that ball breaking culture is so fun.
No, it is. Yeah. Dude, you'll see some guys come in and they're a little off put by it to begin with, but then you start seeing them pick up some pretty witty shit that you can tell they went home and thought about it the night before, and they're waiting for somebody to fucking crack off, because, the guys usually find one thing about somebody to fucking fuck with them on. Something
that you're experiencing with your new team that I learned when I had my best team: the more diverse, the better the performance.
Yeah.
Because if you look at your team now, before, they were all pretty similar.
Dude, they were all fucking scrawny-ass 25-year-olds.
Like, they were all similar. Their behaviors, their communication styles, their work ethic, they were all pretty similar.
Yeah.
The diversity.
Yeah.
You've introduced some diversity into the group now. And that was something that I learned. When we were at our peak, our absolute best, you couldn't get more diverse than what we had. And it was fucking amazing to watch a dozen people from all walks of life, from 4 corners of the southern parts of the state, come together and fight as one for the same
fight,
same mission. Yeah. And it's like, we come together.
But they get to feed off of each other's weaknesses and strengths, right? Like, we got this dude, Danny. Dude's 50 years old. Fuck, one of the best fabricators I've seen.
Dude, I saw his blending the other day.
I
never shave it.
Yeah, right.
It was fucking amazing. I even told him, I said, hey, dude, I'm not a welder, but that's fucking beautiful.
Right. But so that right there, he gets to pass that along to somebody else, and then Sam's organizational skills. It's her fucking shop. She runs it.
Right.
You're going to be as organized as she is. Otherwise, she's going to be up your fucking ass.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's all these little attributes that each person brings that it's like, hey,
compliments everyone else.
Yeah. Here's this area where you fucking suck. Good thing I'm good at it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good team. Good delegation. Good processes. Yeah. I noticed that when I was working in the shop, because I think half of your team or whatever was in there. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, there's a different feel here.
Yeah.
Different. Yeah. It's a good thing. Mm-hmm. It's a good feel.
Right. Even the Monday morning meetings, they used to be such a humdrum. Everybody's just fucking going through the motions. Now, dude, in the mornings on Mondays, it's like, Matt and I do a little spiel, tell them what's fucked up last week, tell them what was great about last week. Let Zach and Sam have their moment to talk about whatever they need to talk about. And then we open up the floor to the crew, and then they're like, Danny the other day was like, hey, if you're in here fucking loading up your shit in the morning, please don't leave your fucking coffee cups and shit on my workstation. And it's like, everybody's like, oh, yeah. Like, who the fuck is doing that,
Duh.
Yeah. But everybody gets to air their shit, dude.
Right.
The moment that meeting breaks, everybody's out there fucking chopping it up, laughing, getting their shit going. You hear grinders going within 5 minutes, and it's like, okay, yeah. That open communication, open airing of grievances. And it's like, it's not malicious. It's just like, hey, dude, it's kind of fucked up to leave your coffee cups on my shit. So, fuck. I think that was me. Sorry, dude. Yeah.
Who would do that? No, it's absolutely correct. That's good. That's good. I'm looking forward to spending more time with this crew.
I'm excited for you to do your ride-alongs with them.
Me too. Yeah, me too. I'm really looking forward to that, and just seeing what we can do and implement and create. And yeah, I feel good about this team. I don't dislike the last team, but what you did to get to 1 million isn't going to get you to 5.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have people that won't grow with you, you outgrow them.
Yeah, it's time to move on. Yeah.
And that's business.
Right.
That's business. Before you came in, I was having a conversation with a guy who's having a really difficult time firing his friend.
I mean, yeah, that's not easy for anybody, right?
That's what and I was explaining that a little bit to him, but I said, don't treat him like your boss, like you're his boss. Treat him like he's your friend. And I said, I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, give yourself permission to cry and be heartbroken and accept that it's going to be one of the most difficult things that you've done.
Hmm.
But be his fucking friend.
Yeah.
He is your friend.
You should be that before anything else.
Yeah. And have the conversation that you need to have. So, I don't know, man. It's just, leadership and all this stuff that we're talking about. It's difficult.
Mm-hmm.
It's very difficult. And when I was talking about the reality of it, it's like it doesn't matter what you know until you implement it or experience it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to bring up what you know and identify what you don't know. And now you guys have these years of information, and now you have these years of experience that you can introduce to this new team,
mm-hmm.
this new growth direction of the business,
mm-hmm.
And I'm excited for it.
Yeah,
I'm really hoping, and maybe I'll do a poll as soon as you guys do get out of the weeds, and we're firing off on everything, to get Matt back in here, because he said he would.
I would. Did he really?
Well, don't you remember we were at his house? Was it Christmas, or when did you come over? When was it Thanksgiving? Remember you asked him. You said, "Hey, would you ever come on back?"
Oh,
on the podcast?
yeah.
He said he would.
He was drinking at that time too.
I didn't say he was sober. I
Yeah.
didn't say he wasn't influenced.
I'd fucking love to have him back on here. Just for everybody's heard the fucking story so far of the trials and tribulations of the last year. I've come in here and complained about it plenty. So it'd be really good to get his perspective and see how he feels about the direction we're heading in.
Yeah.
He seems, this is the fucking most at ease I think I've seen him in fucking forever.
Well, that's what I said. For me to have that conversation with him for the first time in 7 years,
Yeah.
that's a good indicator to me that he feels, again, not that only things are going well, but that, again, he kind of fell in love with the business again,
Mm-hmm.
and the role that he plays. And he's I think there's a little bit of hope.
Yeah.
He sees some light at the end of the tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
And there's still a lot of work to do.
Yeah. Yeah, but it doesn't seem as daunting as it was when we were in the fucking shit, right?
Yeah. I mean, dude, when you were coming in here in October, November, like, it was doomsday.
Dude, I didn't even want to be in here, I'm like, what am I going to fucking tell these people? I'm going to come in here and tell them how to fucking run their shit when my stuff's falling apart,
Imposter syndrome's real.
Fucking, it wasn't a syndrome. I was being a fucking imposter.
Oh, man, the fucking realities of business.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so easy to set in this controlled environment in these four walls and talk into these microphones and tell people how great it should be.
Dude, and it's not till you look back that you see what the reality of the situation was, You feel like you know what's going on in the moment, but then you look back and you're like, oof, there was so much going on there.
Well, the other thing, maybe the last thing, is I feel that I have more permission now from you guys to maybe pull you out of the weeds when shit's going on.
Yeah.
And have those hard conversations.
We would fucking love that. Yeah. Because, dude, it's easier to snap us out in the beginning.
Right.
Before we start spiraling and, it was a tough year for everybody. And
definitely.
I think, Matt and I aren't the best at, we're so separated within the business, that we're doing such different things that it's hard for us to see when the other one's fucking up, or even if we feel like we have the right to say anything about it, or if if we're correct that they're fucking up.
So I appreciate you bringing that up, because one of the conversations that we had coming into the first year, it was really like, one of the first conversations that you, Matt, and myself had sat down and had in months was, I told you guys, I said, you guys have gotten so focused on doing your job, you forgot about the role that you play here.
Mm-hmm.
And you've gotten so focused on how the other person is doing their job. Mm-hmm. And you guys turned inward. The team was inward. Everybody was inward. Yeah. So to me, you know, seeing that kind of stuff, again, that's an indicator for me that's a red flag for me.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so fucking easy to do. It's so easy to get so drawn in and drowning in your job
Mm-hmm.
that you forget the role that you have as an owner and a leader.
Well, and you forget your why at that point too. It just seems like fucking work.
Yep.
It just seems like this daunting task, you know, and you dread waking up in the morning. You're just like, fuck. You know, now I'm like, oh right, we're moving somewhere.
Back on it.
Yeah, we're back on it. So I don't know how many other people go through that, but I'm sure it's everybody.
Well, I'm kind of always delicate about sharing all of the pieces of my story on here, but I've been there,
Mm-hmm.
definitely been there. I know what that feels like.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, and I think a lot of people listening to this today will realize they're not as alone as they think,
Right.
going through these difficulties and having these experiences with ownership and leadership.
Yeah.
So you need to get her home, get that cone off. Get her eye
I need
treated
to
a
go.
little
I need
bit.
to go spray some fucking goddamn. She's so strong. She put her paw. You saw her put her paw in her head just once and just tore the stitches
just
open.
tore it open.
Yeah.
So, dude, it's good to be back in here.
Yeah.
Just us.
I know.
Good.
I like how you waited for the high note.
I do.
Fucking
I just
dancing.
one word. You can tell my voice is a little raspy. I was on for like.
Gotta pay that rent somehow.
Dude, I was on for like 9 hours straight yesterday.
Damn.
And so by last night I was hoarse, and then being at it like almost 3 hours before you walked in. So a little raspy. Need some throat lubricant right there.
I'll help you out, little buddy.
You can find Nate on Instagram at NateNewton87. I am on Instagram at The Tradesman Experience. Email is thetradesmanexperience@gmail.com. Website's thetradesmanexperience.com. And the YouTube channel is The Tradesman Experience. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. Get out there, get shit done. Be proud to be a tradesman. See ya.